Hey, what's going on guys, Xwraithus here and welcome back to another video. Today I'm bringing you an up-to-date 9.1.5 Destruction Warlock PvP guide, and we're going to jump straight into it today, and I'm going to talk to you about my talents. Now before we actually go into that, I just want to note I do have a notepad up at the moment on one of my other monitors, and I've just written some discussion topics that I want to cover on there, and also some helpful information when talking about the races and everything like that. Which I'll cover towards the end of the video, just because I want to give you the most accurate information as possible. I'll just put different races, racials and everything on there so I can cover it more easily, but I'll talk about all that later. So right now, if we talk about the talents, level 15, you have a choice of Flashover, Eradication and Soulfire. In my opinion, you always want to be going Flashover here. And basically what it does is it allows your Conflagrate to deal 25% increased damage and grants an additional charge of Backdraft. So you get 2 Backdrafts from using Conflagrate, which is good. If you don't know what Backdraft is, Conflagrate reduces the cast time of your next Incinerate or Chaos Bolt by 30%, maximum of 4 charges. So basically allows you to get your Chaos Bolt or Incinerate off a lot faster, and it's really good during burst phases because you want to be spamming those Chaos Bolts, and it makes you get those off a lot faster. The more haste you have as well, the faster you can get your soul shards and everything, and then the faster you can spend your soul shards on Chaos Bolt. So it's really good, and just in general, the quicker you can cast Chaos Bolt. So it's really solid. Now works really nicely too if you play the Cinders legendary, Cinders of the Azure Cure, because you get an additional Conflagrate, so you get 3 instead of 2, and the recharge rate is actually reduced by 3 seconds. So mine's a 10 seconds recharge rate, it dropped down to a 7, so you just get more backdrafts. But you can, if you want to, you can obviously get more backdrafts, so it's really good, and obviously more soul shards and everything like that. So really solid. Some people may say that Eradication is good because what this does is Chaos Bolt increases the damage you deal to the target by 10% for 7 seconds. If you're Necrolord, obviously, and Plague Divider Malef, you have Kevin's Oozing, which basically allows the enemy to take 6% additional damage from you, the enemy, sorry. So that's obviously good. That's a 16% damage increase. Then if you play with Madness of the Azure Cure, Chaos Bolt increases the damage of Chaos Bolt by 25% and reduces the cast time of Chaos Bolt by 20% for 4 seconds. So it just empowers your Chaos Bolts, allows you to get them off quicker too, in a 4-second window. So that could be good too, especially if you have a load of haste. But I think Flashover is just the way to go here. Level 25 talents, always pick Reverse Entropy here. The haste is just so beneficial. The chance to get 15% haste for 8 seconds is really nice. Because what haste does is increases your casting time and everything. Well, no, decreases it, sorry. So if I read it here, right, increases attack speed and spell casting speed. So allows you to generate more soul shards potentially, and also allows you to get your Chaos Bolts and other spells off a lot quicker. So it's really nice to have, especially during those burst windows and everything like that, and just in general. Level 30 talents, you have Demon Skin, Burning Rush and Dark Pact. I always favour Dark Pact here now. I used to use Demon Skin quite a lot, but with the meta being so fast paced, I think the Dark Pact shield's so good. And if you're Necrolord as well, you have 2 shields, one being from your Fleshcraft, right? If I show you here, you get a really big Fleshcraft. Mine is a 31,357 damage shield from Fleshcraft. And if you're full health with Dark Pact, you get, for me, I get a 50,892 damage shield. So it's very good, and you can use this while you're suffering from CC effects. So if you've got a full kidney shot from a rogue, right, you can just pop Dark Pact, and if you have Fleshcraft up as well, you can actually negate quite a lot of their damage. So it's really nice at obviously trying to survive and everything like that. Just makes you very tanky. Just a note though, Dark Pact is really solid, right? If you have the health. If you're low health, then obviously you're going to get a lower shield. You can sacrifice your pet if you play Grim of Sacrifice. Sacrifice your Void Walker, use Shadow Bulwark, and you can get a bigger shield for your Dark Pact. However, I don't play Grim of Sacrifice, and I don't intend to, so I think Dark Pact is good, but just make sure you have a load of HP before using it for a bigger shield, right? Demon Skin is still good, but I think Dark Pact is just so much stronger right now. Demon Skin, allows your Soul Leech shield to be bigger, because right now it's a 10%. It goes up to 10% of your maximum health. like the shield, but now it's 15% if you select Demon Skin, and obviously the recharge rate and everything of the shield's quicker and everything, but Dark Pack's better in my opinion. Level 35 talents, you have Inferno, Fire and Brimstone, and Cataclysm. I like Cataclysm here, just allows you to spread your Immolate a lot better on multiple targets and everything, and it's on a 30-second cooldown, so very, very good. Level 40 talents, you have Dark Fury, Mortal and Howl of Terror. When I play Destro, I always pick Mortal Coil here because you have Havoc. Havoc allows your single target spells to strike an additional target, so it's really, really strong, so you can actually Mortal Coil 2 targets instead of the 1, therefore getting a load of healing back and incapacitating 2 targets for 3 seconds instead of the 1, so it's really, really good. However, some people may also argue that Howl of Terror is decent, especially if you're going up against like BM hunters and they have their pets on you or something, or a Demonology Warlock, because you can just Howl of Terror all the pets away and just reduce that damage on you, because you can actually like get away from the pets and everything. So you could experiment with both of these. Howl of Terror might be better in RBGs, because you can actually fear like a load of the enemies. So up to you here. Have no idea what that noise was in the background in the game, but hey ho. So up to you. I'd experiment with both of these, but I like playing Mortal Core when I'm Destro, but I can see Howl of Terror working too. Level 45 talents, I always pick Roaring Blaze here because what it does is Conflagrate, increases your Immolate, Incinerate, and Conflagrate damage to target by 25% for 8 seconds. If you play with Cremation 2, that also empowers your Conflagrate, so your Conflagrate can deal more damage. Also, as I mentioned, Cinders is really strong because you get an additional Conflagrate and everything like that. So again, it makes your Conflagrate so much stronger. And is there a Conduit as well? Curse Bolt and Incinerate deal 7.2% increased damage to targets affected by Immolate. So it's not that, but I could have sworn, maybe not. And this one's pretty good anyway, but I'll cover Conduits later. So I think that Roaring Blaze is just solid right now. It's just instant damage, and it's strong instant damage too. Now, Reign of Chaos, you could theory crafted this. Basically, if you put your Infernal out, every time you spend a Soul Shard, you have a 15% chance to summon an additional Infernal that lasts 8 seconds. So it's really, really strong, potentially, if it works with this Conduit, Infernal Brand. So basically, every time your Infernal attacks an enemy, its damage is going to be increased, like your Infernal damage, like its Immolation damage. So for example, if your Infernal keeps attacking the same target, and then that target's going to suffer more damage from your Immolation, which stacks up to 15 times. Now, if that works with Reign of Chaos, and say you have like 4 Infernals outright, then the enemy could take a load of damage from the Infernal. So it's definitely something you could theory craft with. I'll put something on screen to see if it actually like works. Like I'll put text on the screen or something, but I'm not sure if it actually does. But if they pair well together, you could experiment with that. But I think Roaring Blaze is just the way to go right now. And I don't play Sacrifice, Grim of Sacrifice, because I like having a pet out, especially my Fel Hunter, because I have Devour Magic, so I can purge a beneficial magic effect from the target, like, a stand buff, I don't know, a Nether Ward, a shield, like a pre-shield, anything that's beneficial I can purge every 15 seconds, which is good. You obviously can't choose what one you can take away. And also, if I'm behind a pillar and my pet's in line to the sight of the enemy, I can actually interrupt them without having to be next to the enemy or anything, as long as my pet's in line of sight. So that's very good, but they can banish my pet, so there are downsides and upsides, and they can kill my pet as well. But level 50 talents, I always pick Dark Soul here. Again, it's just really, really solid. It increases your crit chance by 30% for 20 seconds. Every 2 minutes you can use this, so really, really nice. I love using this. If you're Orc 2, you have Blood Fury, which lines up perfectly with this, but obviously I'm a gnome. Unused trinkets, I have an unused trinket, increases my primary stat by 218 for 15 seconds. That's on a 1 minute cooldown, and it gives me haste. Like, Dark Soul instability is very good, and you're able to get juicy care spells off of that. Moving on to PvP talents, guys, I'm just going to cover the ones that I use the most. So, Bonds of Val, very, very good. Basically, you put a circle on the floor. If the enemy leaves that circle, they then take a load of fire damage. It's good because if they're behind a pillar and you're putting pressure with your Rain of Fire and Cataclysm and stuff, you can Bonds of Val behind the pillar, and then you're going to force the enemy to run out of the radius, and it's going to do a ton of fire damage. So it's actually pretty decent. I like running that, so I definitely recommend playing that in certain situations. You have Nether Ward, that's also on a 30-second cooldown. Nether Ward, really beneficial, especially going up against casters and stuff. Say if a mage is on the enemy team, I can use Nether Ward to reflect polymorph back at the enemy or any other spells. Say if a warlock's on the enemy team and they're chaos bolt on me, I pop Nether Ward just as the chaos bolt's going to go off, so I can guarantee the reflect back at the warlock. Don't forget though, Nether Ward can be spell stolen by like mages, can be like purged by like shamans and priests and everyone like that, so just be wary. But it's actually really good at like controlling certain situations and just reflecting spells back at the enemy, so very good. Last 3 seconds, but again, can be purged, and it's on a 45-second cooldown. Demon Armor is a very, very strong, especially when you're going against melee. Basically what it does, increases your maximum health by 10% and increases your armor by 160%. So it just makes you a little bit tankier. If you're a Necrolord, you might not need to play this as much, but what I usually do, right, if I am against like melee or something, right, I'll probably play Demon Armor. If I'm against casters or something, I'll probably swap out Demon Armor for something like Foul Fissure or Cremation or something like that. So you can definitely swap these out. They can be replaced. And Foul Fissure is another good one. What this does is every time you use Care Spell, it puts a little fissure on the ground. And if the enemy's within that little fissure, right, it reduces their movement speed by 50%. And all healing received by 25%. So it's just really strong, and I can see it working really nicely when you burst, because if you use this, basically it could work, because if you care spot the enemy and it puts the fissure on the floor and you're playing Buns of Foul, you're basically forcing the enemy to run out of your Buns of Foul, and they're going to explode with fire damage from your Buns of Foul. So that's pretty cool, but just in general, it's really nice to play because the healing reduction is insane, especially in like 2s and stuff, right? It could be really, really nice, and I really like playing it, so it's definitely one you should consider. Cremation, obviously really strong, especially if you play the Cinders legendary and Roaring Blaze and everything, because it allows your conflagrate to deal up to an additional 3% of the target's maximum health in fire damage if the target's affected by your Immolate. And obviously you can spread your Immolate with Cataclysm or, you know, Havoc, Immolate, or just Immolate in general, so that's good too. I've seen some comments saying Bane of Havoc's good. I can see this being really nice in RBGs and BGs, etc. Just putting it down, you know, the more people you hit with this, the better and everything, because you can use your single target spells on like 4 or 5 enemies, right? So you can just do like Care Spell on like 5 enemies, which is insane. So it's basically Havoc, but improved. So instead of only being able to use your single targets to strike an additional enemy with Havoc, right? Instead, Bane of Havoc, you put this down, and obviously it replaces Havoc, and you're able to just do a ton of single target damage, like spells, to a load of people. So it's really good for AoE, that's what I'm trying to say. So could be good, but just be wary of like grounding totems, etc., right? But I can see a world in which this could work. I saw a comment saying, you know, if you play Shard of Annihilation, you know, it makes your incinerate damage very, very strong and stuff. So, you know, using Bane of Havoc when you're Necrolord with that legendary and everything, and Decimating Bolt, right, you're going to be able to do a ton of damage if you incinerate, and I could see that being actually really true. So there could be some experimentation, but I haven't really played it, so I can't really comment really on that, but I can see it working. Amplify Curse is always a decent one. 30-second cooldown. Your next curse is amplified, whether it's Curse of Exhaustion, Tongues, or Weakness. Weakness, enemy is unable to quickly strike. Tongues increases the casting time by an additional 40%. It was 30%, so it's now up to 70%. And then Curse of Exhaustion reduces target's movement speed by an additional 20%. It was 50%, and then it goes up to 70%, so that's pretty strong too. And then Shadow Rift is one of my personal favorites. Really nice in RBGs. Some people have said it's not that good, but in my opinion, I think it's really nice, especially if you have a coordinated team. Say this is Eye of the Storm. This is one of the ledges that go off the map. Say the flags here. If you coordinate your burst really nice, you know, and just CC in general, I mean, right? You could use your Infernal to bait trinkets. If they don't trinket, you can Shadow Fury, try and bait as much trinkets as possible really. Then if you have a coordinated team, what you can then do is, all you need to do is Shadow Rift, wait for them to get teleported, they'll teleport to your demonic circle and potentially fall off the map, and then you could get like a really good game-winning play really, because then you can control middle, get the flag and get more points and everything. Only works on some maps though, in my opinion. Like, you can play it on quite a lot of maps, but some of the maps I would recommend playing something else, right? So you have to obviously experiment with that. And you could play Gateway Mastery for the long gateway and the reduction in the time you can take to obviously use the gateway, but I probably wouldn't. So the main ones, Bonds of Foul, Nether Ward, Demon Armor, Foulfisher, Cremation, and Shadow Rift, and then you can experiment with Bane of Havoc and Amplified Curse if you want to. But if I move on to the stat priority, gems and enchants now, guys, in my opinion, the stat priority you want to be going is Haste, Haste, Versatility, Mastery, Critical Strike. In my opinion, that's the best, because Haste, able to get your spells off a lot quicker and everything like that, and it's just really, really nice. You're able to get soul shards a lot more with like your Immolate and everything, so that's really, really good. Some could argue it goes Versatility, Haste, Mastery, Critical Strike, and I don't disagree with you in a sense, because Versatility is very needed, is needed right now, right? In PvP, you want to get at least 30% in my opinion, or around that, because I have 27.73% right now. Basically what Versatility does is increases your damage and healing done by 27.73% and decreases damage taken by half of that. So if you have 30% Versa, you're then going to deal more damage and healing by 30% and take 15% less damage. So it is solid, don't get me wrong. So you probably want to go around like 30% Versa and then stack the rest in Haste. That's what I'd probably do. So I know that if you have 2 PvP trinkets, you get kind of like a set bonus. So the damage and healing benefit of Versatility is increased by 40% when in Arenas, Battlegrounds, and War mode. So it is very important to have Versatility, but I like going Haste, Versatility, Mastery, and then Critical Strike. If I go on to enchants now, guys, on the Cloak, I have 20 stamina and minor speed increase. Chest, I have primary stats by 20. Braces, I have 15 intellect. Weapon, I have Celestial Guidance for the primary stat. Then on the 2 rings, I have Haste. Then if you have any sockets, I would also gem them Haste. But if I go on to the legendary powers now, guys, it's quite straightforward if I'm completely honest. There's probably like 4 that you want to consider, but mainly like 2 you want to think about playing, if I'm completely honest. I'll explain what I mean by that. So in my opinion, I think Cinders is the best legendary out there for Destro, right? Gives you an extra Conflagrate, reduces the recharge it has by 3 seconds, absolutely awesome. Able to get your Chaos Bolt off and your Incinerates a lot faster. Just really, really strong. So solid for burst and just in general a good choice. And obviously Conflagrate does quite a bit of damage right now, so it's good instant damage too. Madness, however, could be decent if you want to go like a cheeky, full-on burst Chaos Bolt build. I could see this one hitting, being really good, because you'd be able to hit people for a ton with your Chaos Bolts. If you're trying to go for the one-shot build, this could potentially work. It might not be as reliable as Cinders, but again, it could work. I could definitely see that being very, very good. So it's up to you. You can try Madness. It could be really good in RBGs if someone's letting you free cast or something. I could see it being really good, especially if you potentially, try Bane of Havoc. I could see that being really, really nice. But I like Cinders here. I've seen a couple people talk about Shard of Annihilation being insane. Obviously, as I mentioned earlier, with the Incinerate build kind of thing with Bane of Havoc. What this does is Decimating Bolt also increases the critical strike chance by 100% and critical strike damage by 50% for Incinerate. So basically it makes your Incinerate hit like a truck, basically giving you a load of crit. Obviously Dark Soul Instability gives you a load of crit too. And when you Decimating Bolt, your next 3 Incinerates damage is increased by 100%. So it just makes your Incinerate deal a ton of damage. And I can see a world where that might work if you're Necrolord. And then if you're Night Fae, you could consider using Decaying Soul Satchel, because as I'm aware, if you play Dreamweaver Soulbind as a Night Fae, I think that's the one. If you use your Soul Rot, she puts like flowers underneath you, and if you stand in there, you get a load of haste. So the haste and crit from this, paired with that little trait, could be really good at getting your chaos bolts off and dealing a lot of damage. So that could be one to experiment with. Cepheus, I mean, is an okay option, right? Because you can reduce the CC effects by 10%, like the effectiveness of them, and get a load of secondary stats. But right now, I think it comes down to Cinders probably being the best, Madness being pretty decent, and then probably try Shard of Annihilation or Decaying Soul Satchel if you're Night Fae or Necrolord, obviously. But I really like Cinders. The main reason I'm not playing it right now is because I'm using the Vision of Demonic Synergy, because I don't really do Torghast and I need to start doing that. Otherwise, I would have, Cinders right now. But yeah, I'm going to go to my Covenant Sanctum right now, guys, and then talk to you about my Covenants and Soulbinds. So I shall see you there in 2 seconds. Alright guys, I'm in my Covenant Sanctum right now, and I want to talk to you about Covenants and Soulbinds. I'll make this really quick for you guys. So the only reason I'm Necrolord is because at the start of Shadowlands, when you had to pick your Covenant and everything, when it was new to everyone and stuff, I thought, you know what? Necrolord sounds pretty cool, right? I posted a video on it, and I was like, I really like the cosmetics and the lore of Necrolord, and it kind of fits Warlocks perfectly. That's why I chose them, and they're pretty cool, right? Now, the main Covenant you want to be going, the main reason why I brought up the little backstory there is because the main two you want to consider playing, in my opinion, is either Night Fae or Necrolord. The reason why you would want to consider playing Night Fae is because the Soulbinds are actually really good. You can play Dreamweaver, I think it's called, where you get the seed. So if you die in PvP, right, you can then, if the seed is not killed, if your team keeps up the HP of the seed and everything, keeps healing it, you then have like a second chance at the game, right? I don't think it can occur more than every 10 minutes or something. I'm not really sure on that, but it's really, really strong in my opinion, and the traits that some of them offer are really good too. Not just Dreamweaver, I'm pretty sure others are pretty decent too, as I recall. So Night Fae strong, and you have Soul Rot, which allows you to drain life multiple targets at once, and basically, essentially put like a dot on the enemy in a sense. It does quite a bit of damage, and you can drain life multiple targets, and therefore getting a load of healing, so is pretty decent if I'm completely honest. And you also have access to Soul Shape, which basically allows you to teleport across the map, and you can use this defensively or offensively. You can get away from people, or you can push in to set up CC or burst. Really, really strong in my opinion, so that is really nice. I like Necrolord because it's really nice if you want to survive a little bit longer. If you have an issue where you take a load of damage and you feel like you're dying like really, really quickly, Necrolord's going to help you with that. It's also going to allow you to deal quite a lot of damage, because right now you have Fleshcraft that I talked about earlier, which is a big absorption shield every 2 minutes. Absolutely sane. Works really, really nicely in this fast-paced meta. You also have Decimating Bolt, which again is really, really strong if the target's low HP. However, I use this when the target's high HP, just for Kevin's Oozling. So I'll show you that when I burst in the rotation. But it's really strong, and it empowers your next 3 incinerates damage by 100%. So that's obviously really good too. And then you have access to Plague Divisor Marileth. You have Ultimate Form. While channeling Fleshcraft, you are immune to crowd control and regenerate 2% health every 1 second, which is insane. So you get healing back, and you're immune to crowd control, which is really, really good. If you finish the full channel, so if you get the full channel off, you gain 3 seconds of crowd control immunity. Really, really nice, during which you regenerate 2% health every 1 second. That is just awesome. You get HP back, and you're reduced to, you are immune to crowd control. Nice. And then you have Kevin's Oozing. Obviously, every time you use Decimating Bolt, Kevin is summoned. He lasts for 15 seconds. He allows you to deal 6% additional damage to enemies, and he also grants your allies a 215 damage shield. So that's obviously really, really solid. So it's definitely a choice between those two, in my opinion. If you want the mobility and quite solid damage and a load of haste and stuff, go Night Fae. Very strong. It's good for the other specs too and everything. But if you want, survivability and everything, and quite good damage actually, then Necrolord's probably the one for you. So definitely it's up to you there. And then if I move on to conduits now, guys, I'm going to go through the conduits I use. I'm going to do it in like order. So I'll start with endurance, then finesse, then potency, and I'll pick 3 of each. Now, just to note, when I scroll over a conduit, my item level conduits are probably different to yours. So the item level of my conduits may be higher or lower than yours. So just obviously take note to that. So the percentages or the seconds that you're going to see when I read off these conduits and everything may be different to yours. So the first endurance conduit that I really like is Resolute Barrier. I play this in all circumstances, so if you only have 1 endurance slot, this is the one you want to be playing. Attacks received that deal at least 5% of your HP. Decrease unending resolves cooldown by 10 seconds, cannot occur more than once every 22 seconds. Just allows you to get your unending resolve back a lot quicker if it's on cooldown. Very good. The second one, probably Condensed Atmosphere here. When you take any damage, heal for 4.75% of your maximum health, and this can only occur once every 10 seconds. Really strong. That'll probably be the one, depending, you know, if I have 2 endurance slots, like here for example, or if I don't want 2. So if I want to survive a little bit more, I'll probably play Condensed Atmosphere and Resolute Barrier, or Resolute Barrier and Accured Vitality, but I'll cover that in a second. Condensed Atmosphere is just good because you just get like passive healing, really. Cannot occur more than every 10 seconds, but it's just like a nice boost of healing that you get, really. So usually you'd have either 1 or 2 endurance slots, I think, so you wouldn't really have 3. However, Accured Vitality is actually really good too, especially if you're Night Fae, because you have Soul Rot, so you can drain life multiple targets. It's probably good just in general anyway. Drain life heals for 68% of the amount drained over 8.1 seconds. It just basically allows you to get more healing off of your drain life if you healed for quite a bit. Actually pretty decent. So they're the top 3 I would pick. Resolute Barrier, Condensed Atmosphere, and Accured Vitality. Diabolic Bloodstone I don't see being good. It's more of a PvE thing in my opinion, because you can't use multiple health stones. You actually have to drop combat before being able to use another one. So in like PvP, like Battlegrounds and stuff, people would have to drop combat so you get most value out of it, because if everyone uses it at the start and they're fighting for like 5 minutes, you're going to get leech at the start, right? But then they won't be able to use Healthstone unless they drop combat again. Like, you know what I mean? They can't use Healthstone again unless they drop combat. So I'd say it's probably not worth. Finesse conduits, people like to experiment here. You know, I'm either, you know, if I want to survive a little bit more, then I'll swap to the Vicious Trail bit on Plague Divisor Malef, sorry. If I don't need to endurance conduits, I'll actually switch over to this finesse conduit side over here with undulating maneuvers, or however you pronounce that. So right now, my main one I always play really is Shade of Terror. Your fear effects can withstand 140% more damage before breaking. So say if you have an immolate on a target or something and you fear them, it just allows your fear to potentially last a lot longer before it breaks. Really good. Or if you fear a target and your teammate accidentally attacks that target or something, right? Or they have curses on them or something. Say if you're playing with like an Affliction Warlock or like a Shadow Priest, it just allows your fear to potentially, you know, stay up for longer before breaking. So it's really, really good. I know that some people prefer playing Demonic Momentum over Shade of Terror, but I'll cover that in a second. Foul Clarity is kind of like a must though, in my opinion. So I would probably use 2 finesse conduits, because Foul Clarity is very good only if you have a pet out. Basically what this does is it reduces Foul Domination's cooldown by 72 seconds. So it's a 3-minute cooldown if you don't play this, but if you play it, it now drops Foul Domination to a 1.8-minute cooldown. Right now, your summon abilities are 4.8 seconds long, so you're going to get interrupted in PvP. So what Foul Domination allows you to do is get your pet out a lot quicker. It reduces it to a 0.4 second cast time. There we go, and you can use that every 1.8 minutes. Very, very strong right now. I would definitely consider using Foul Clarity because it just allows you to get your pet out a lot quicker and you can't get interrupted. Yes, I know your pet can die quite fast, but you know, you don't want to be running away or trying to hard cast summon, because you get interrupted on it, you know, and you can't really do that in mid battle because you're just going to get punished really. So Foul Clarity is very, very solid. Then the last one is Demonic Momentum. Demonic Circle Teleport increases movement speed by 48% for 5 seconds. This is actually really good in like Arena, for example, right? Because say this is a pillar, you put your Demonic Circle down, And say if you're low HP and you're like, oh no, I need to go, and there's an enemy monk who puts their teleport on your teleport or something, or you're against a warrior, you can teleport back and kite the warrior if he heroic leaps charges you, or if the monk tries to leg sweep you when you teleport, you can actually potentially escape the leg sweep once he teleports. So he just wasted his teleport to try to get to you, and then he have to roll to you, or the warrior probably have to heroic leap behind the pillar, and if that isn't enough, he have to charge you too. So you'd wasted, you know, either a roll or a charge from the opposition, which is actually pretty solid. And the movement speed is just good in general. If you're Night Fae 2, you have Soul Shape, so you just have a ton of mobility that you can work around. So in my opinion, it's not too bad, right? And it's every 30 seconds. So again, just able to run a little bit longer, be able to kite the people that are chasing you when you teleport and everything. So it actually is really solid. I'll have to experiment with this quite a bit. But I do like Shade of Terror and I do like Foul Clarity. So that's the two I mainly play. But obviously Demonic Momentum is pretty good too. Moving on to potency conduits, I always play Combusting Engine and Ashen Remains. And to be fair, I'll talk about Duplicitous Havoc as well. I always play that as well, but there's a reason why I left that to last there. So Combusting Engine, Conflagrate increases your remaining Immolate damage by 14.4% until Immolate expires or is refreshed. Really good because it just allows your Immolate to deal a load more damage via your Conflagrate, which is good. If you use Cataclysm in, you can spread your Immolate on everybody and then use Conflagrate to allow your Immolate to do more damage. It's very, very solid. Ashen Remains is really, really good. Care Spell Incinerate deals 7.2% increased damage to targets affected by Immolate. So again, boost your Care Spell and Incinerate damage to targets that have Immolate on them. It works really, really nicely with Cataclysm 2s. And just in general, if they have Immolate on them, works really, really solid. Allows you to get more damage out. Reason why I left Duplicitous Havoc last is because right now, if I just swap this out really quick, right, Havoc actually allows the other target to take 60% normal initial damage. It's obviously not 100%. If you play Duplicitous Havoc, that increases from 60 to 78%. So it allows the other target to take a load more damage, which is obviously very, very good from your single target spells and everything. And once Havoc's up. But the reason why I left it to last is because I really like playing it. This is the build that I play, right? But at the same time, if, you know, the Reign of Chaos thing works, maybe, just maybe, there might be a world where you want to theorycraft with Infernal Brand, or just play Infernal Brand in general, because every 3 minutes, your Infernal is going to be able to do a load of damage to the enemy, and if they keep hitting the enemy, obviously, but your Infernal can be, like, banished, and I'm pretty sure, like, slowed and ice novid and stuff, so it's up to you, and the enemy can get away from your Infernal quite easily if they have a load of mobility, right? If you're against, like, a mage or something, then they can just blink away, so I don't know. I think Infernal Brand could be really, really strong, like, on its own. But I don't know if it's better than Duplicitous Havoc. I like Duplicitous Havoc, but if you're only using Havoc for Mortal Coil, then maybe you want to switch to Infernal Brand. But completely up to you here. I like Duplicitous Havoc, but I can see a world where Infernal Brand works. Fatal Decimation, I don't play at all. And if you're Night Fae, maybe you could play your Night Fae Potency Conduit, but obviously that's up to you too. Alright guys, I'm going to go and talk to you about my rotation now. So I'm going to go to the target dummies and I'll see you there in 2 seconds. Alright guys, before I show you my rotation, I just want to quickly note, I forgot to cover this. If you ever want to switch covenants or anything like that, or get your renown up fast, just go to this vendor here and buy the broker of Mark of Distinction, which increases your renown to level 40 with your covenant. So it's really, really good. That's on the Ring of Transference floor in Erebos. But yeah, I'll see you at the target dummies. Alright guys, I'm in Stormwind right now next to the target dummies, and I want to talk to you about my rotation. It's quite straightforward as Destro, if I'm completely honest. The way you set up your burst can be a little bit different, because, you know, if you're in like a battleground or RBG and people are stacked up, you may want to use Cataclysm in first, or, you know, if you're against 2 targets, maybe you can Havoc and Immolate to get your Immolate rolling, or if it's just 1 target, you can just Immolate that target or something. I'm going to show you what I typically use. Don't forget though, I'm using the Vision of Demonic Synergy legendary because I haven't really done Torghast much, so that's not the legendary I want to use. I'd probably use Cinders if I, you know, did my Torghast and everything. So I'm going to treat this as AoE here. So I'm going to Cataclysm in to spread my Immolate. I'm going to then just use Incinerate to try and get full Ember. No, Soul Shards, sorry. Near full Soul Shards, what you can then do is pop your Burst here, your Dark Soul, and your Unused Trinket if you have one. You can then Infernal, Bonds of Fall, your Covenant ability, depending on what you are, Conflagrate, and then to get your Backdraft, and then you Chaos Bolt, then you use Incinerate as a filler to keep obviously getting your Soul Shards up, and then you Conflagrate to get 2 stacks of Backdraft if you're playing with Flashover, and you Chaos Bolt and Chaos Bolt. Just make sure you keep refreshing your Immolate though. That's something I didn't mention, but just make sure it doesn't fall off. But I wasn't concentrating on that because I was trying to show you the rotation there. So make sure your Immolate is spread on everyone and make sure it doesn't fall off because you want your Soul Shards because that to like regenerate a lot faster because you have Immolate on everyone. So it's going to work really nicely because then you can get more Chaos Bolts off. So pretty straightforward. Really. The reason why I do Decimating Bolt at high health is so I can get Kevin's Oozing out for the damage increase. What you normally do, you know, open with Immolate just to start getting Soul Shards and getting the damage rolling right. Then you use Incinerate as a filler until you basically get like max Soul Shards or nearly, right? You can use Conflagrate after that, but what you should can normally do is use your Dark Soul and Unused Trinket if you're not playing like Malediction or something, right? Malediction is a good trinket though to use, but I use a Unused Trinket at the moment. Use Dark Soul paired with your trinket, and your racial if you like Orc, for example. You pop Infernal down for the stun. You can Bonds of Fall. You don't have to, but you can. And just so if they start running, they take increased fire damage because they explode. And then you obviously use Conflagrate for the backdraft, and obviously your Decimating Bolt before Conflagrate or your other Covenant ability, and then you just, you know, go ham on those Chaos Bolts, then rinse and repeat basically. So it's pretty straightforward. I'll show you one more time once my cooldowns are back up, but yeah, let's do it. Alright guys, my Infernal's nearly up, so I'm going to show you my rotation one more time, but I'm going to include Havoc in this one. So Cataclysm in, set this guy as my focus target. I'm going to Incinerate, do the same as last time to try and get full of Soul Shards. I'm going to Dark Soul. I normally click Conflagrate when I'm at nearly full, but I'm going to use Dark Soul on my trinket, pop Infernal, Bonds of Fall, Decimating Bolt, Havoc, Conflagrate, Chaos Bolt, Conflagrate, Chaos Bolt, resetting my Immolate, use it Incinerate as a filler, then you Chaos Bolt, and then you Chaos Bolt. Basically, rinse and repeat that, to be honest. It's quite straightforward. Use Incinerate as a filler. Make sure your Immolate doesn't fall. Usually what I would do, though, like I said, is when I'm at full, then I would do my Conflagrate, like full Soul Shards, Conflagrate, pop Dark Soul on my trinket, Infernal, Bonds of Fall, Decimating Bolt, and then burst with my Chaos Bolt. I'll use Chaos Bolt. But I think it's probably safer to use Conflagrate just before you do Chaos Bolt because you don't want your backdraft actually falling off. So I think that might be a little bit better. But if I move on to the races now, guys, that'd be the last thing I cover in today's video. So basically, I'm going to start off with the Alliance, and then I'll work my way onto the Horde side. I'm going to give you 4 races of each in no particular order. So Human's really strong right now because you have Will to Survive. It's a 3-minute racial that allows you to get out of any stun. So say if a rogue kidney shots you, cheap shots you, a warlock uses Shadow Fury or something, or Infernal, like the Infernal stun, you can just get out of it, you know, every 3 minutes, which is solid. But just to know, this does share a cooldown with your Medallion, which is your PvP trinket if you play one as a human. Some people play Brooch and stuff, and some people like playing Medallion. So you have to wait 1 minute 30 seconds if you use your racial to then use your Medallion and vice versa. They also have a passive called the Human Spirit. You gain 2% more of all secondary stats, haste, crit, mastery, and verse from all sources, which is solid. You then have Gnome. Gnome is really good because you have access to Escape Artist. I'm obviously Gnome. Escape Artist, what this does, minute cooldown, escape from effects of any immobilization or movement reduction effect. If I get Ice Novaed by a mage, say this is my Demonic Gateway, because I can't use Demonic Gateway here. Say this is my gateway, I get Ice Novaed or Frost Novaed by a mage here, and I'm low health or something, and I don't have access to Demonic Circle, like it's not up. I can use Escape Artist to get out of the like route essentially, and I can then obviously gateway across. So it's actually really, really solid. So Gnome's pretty good at, you know, getting away. Or if the mage, you know, ice navers you and is trying to save his teammate from dying who's behind the pillar, or if he's trying to get away, you can then use it aggressively, like offensively, to then chase the mage down and set up like CC or something. So pretty decent. You then have Dwarf because they have Stone Form, removes all harmful poison, disease, curse, magic, and bleed effects, and reduces all physical damage taken by 10% for 8 seconds. Really, really nice because you play Demon Armor, you're already a little bit tankier, right? Again, it gives you a 10% reduction in physical damage and removes like curses and everything. So if a Warlock cursed you up and you're behind the pillar, you can then use this to decurse yourself and, you know, get rid of all the like bleed effects from like rogues and stuff too, well, poison effects from like rogues and like bleeds from other classes. So it's actually really, really good. This does share a 30-second cooldown with Medallion though, as I recall. So if you use Medallion, you got to wait 30 seconds before you can use Stone Form, and vice versa. And then lastly, for the Alliance side, you have Void Elf because you have Spatial Rift, which is basically a teleport. Really, really nicely. Every 3 minutes you can use this. You basically activate the ability, then activate it again when you want to teleport. Really, really nice. I actually like the idea of it because Warlocks right now don't have a ton of mobility, and you know, you have your Gateway and your Demonic Circle, and if you play Demonic Momentum, then you obviously have that. Every time, the movement speed every time you use your Demonic Circle. And obviously if you're Night Fae, you have Soul Shape, but if you're not Night Fae, right, you're kind of limited in your mobility. So, you know, Void Elf might be a strong choice. You also have some passives as well, like passive racials. You have Entropic Embrace, your ability to have a chance to empower you with the essence of the void, causing your damage and healing effects to deal an additional 5% as Shadow Frost for 12 seconds. Pretty good. And then you have Preternatural Calm, I think it's called. Your spells cast are not delayed by taking damage, because, you know, if you take damage while casting, I think they can be delayed, as I recall. So, you know, as Void Elf, you don't have to worry about that. On the Horde side, you have Orc. Orc is really strong because they have Blood Fury, which increases your spell power, your primary stat, by, I can't remember how much, but it's by a lot, for 15 seconds. 2-minute cooldown, pairs really nicely with your Dark Soul Instability. If you play Unused Trinket, that's every 1 minute too, so pairs well with that as well. So it just allows you to do a ton of damage during burst phase, which is very, very solid. Then they have a passive called Hardiness. Duration of stun effects are reduced by an additional 20%. So stuns on you are reduced by 20%, so they're less effective, which is obviously very good too. You have Troll, because they have Berserking, increases your haste by 10% for 12 seconds on a 3-minute cooldown. I said that I really like haste. I think that's the best, you know, stat that you want to be going. So I would definitely, you know, try that out in my opinion. I would, if you do like the idea of Troll, then it'd be very beneficial for you because, you know, the more haste you have, the quicker you can get your care spells off, and, you know, as I've been saying, the quicker you can get soul shards and everything like that. So really good, and you'll be able to do a load of damage with your Immolate. Then you have a passive called the Voodoo Shuffle, reduces duration of all movement impairing effects by 20%. So that obviously helps too. And obviously the haste, since it's on a 3-minute cooldown, it does pair well with your Infernal, so you can basically PvE the enemy down in a sense, which is kind of cool. You have Undead, because you have Will of the Forsaken, remove any charm, fear, and sleep effect, and it's on a 2-minute cooldown. And this is just good because, you know, you can just get out of any charm, fear, and sleep effect. Pretty straightforward, but it does share a 30-second cooldown with Medallion, and, you know, vice versa. So if you use your Medallion, you've got to wait 30 seconds before you can use that, before you can use like your racial and everything, so, and vice versa. You have Goblin, which is the last one I'll be covering, because you have Rocket Jump. Rocket Jump just allows you to get away from people, increases that gap between you and the enemy, which is good. It's not the best, but obviously not the worst. You can use this, you know, if you're in BGs, you can jump off the map, Rocket Jump, and then, you know, before you hit the ground so you don't take any damage. That could be good. You can just get away from, like, melee and stuff. And then you also have a passive called Time. That's on a 1.5-minute cooldown. Then you have a passive called Time is Money. Increase your haste by 1%. I know it's not much, but at least it's something. But I hope you enjoyed today's video, guys. If this video isn't out before Christmas, then I hope you had a really nice Christmas. If it is out before Christmas, then I really hope you have a nice Christmas. But I really hope this guide helped somebody out there, and sorry that it was quite long, but I just wanted to cover everything today. If I missed anything, then I really do apologize, but hopefully I covered everything today. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure you leave a like, comment down below, let me know whether this guide was helpful. Hopefully I'll cover a demo one very, very soon, and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content like this. And if you did enjoy today's video, don't forget to subscribe to don't forget to check out my social media links in the description down below. And yeah, turn on that bell notification, click that bell notification button to know when I post a new video. But I've been X-Rathus, guys. Thank you so much for the support recently, and for everyone who clicked on this video and made it to the end as well, or just in general, every support, every single bit of support means a lot. So thank you so much. But I've been X-Rathus. I'll catch you in the next one. So peace.